And the grand finale to the celebration was quite a sight. A drone light show lit up the night sky. The drones flew in a display of various images, such as a map of Thailand, a picture of the king, and the words, "Long live the king." Thailand has had a constitutional monarchy since 1932, when a revolution ended absolute rule by kings. The country's monarchs are still regarded as almost divine and seen as a unifying presence in the country. Criticism of the king and other top members of the royal family could result in a prison sentence up to 15 years. Okay, back to the light show.
Yeah, the light show is
a little less controversial than that. Drones are a thing. That's our time for now. We thank you for watching. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, an investigation is underway in Sun Prairie after a fatal fire. We will bring you the very latest.
Amid measles outbreaks around the country, 2 Wisconsin lawmakers are debating a vaccine waiver bill. We'll tell you what they're saying.
From the Channel 3000 Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3 Now. Firefighters are trying to figure out what caused an apartment fire in Sun Prairie last night that killed 1 person.
In a building without system, the fire chief says they are feeling fortunate that there was just 1 death. Our Amanda Quintana is live on the scene with the latest. Amanda?
Yes, well, the last of the firefighters and investigators, it looks like they just left. We've been seeing families come here trying to see if they can get inside to get some of their stuff from inside of their apartments. You can see these 2 units on the top are destroyed. Almost everyone in the 16 units were able to get out on their own, but Jerry Gilbertson was asleep when the flames broke out in the apartment directly above his. He and another resident say they didn't hear an alarm. When his daughter and grandson were able to evacuate, firefighters had to go in to wake him up.
We had to act real fast. The hallways were full of smoke, and I just remember holding onto a fireman's shoulder, and he was guiding me out, and didn't have to be carried, but I was still able to walk.
He was the only person taken to the hospital, treated for smoke inhalation. Then later, he was released just after 2 this morning. Police have not released the identity of the person who died or given an idea of what might have caused this fire. The fire chief did say that this building did not have a sprinkler system. It's an older building, so it was not required. And he said when there are those older buildings and fires spread fast, usually there's not a happy ending.
Amanda Quintana live in Sun Prairie. Amanda, thank you.
And this just in from the Channel 3000 Alert Center. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is investigating an inmate death. Sheriff Roger Brandner says on Sunday a jail deputy saw a 31-year-old Fuad Pashayev of Wisconsin Dells hanging in his cell. Staff performed life-saving measures but were unsuccessful. Pashayev was charged with first-degree homicide last month. He was accused of killing his wife, Tetiana Hushva. And authorities say 2 children found dead in a Seymour home were slain, and an adult man found dead in that home took his own life. Police found the bodies of 35-year-old Andrew Poppy, 4-year-old Madeline Sampson, and 3-month-old Haley Poppy back on April 19th. Authorities believe all 3 were stabbed. Investigators also have previously called the case an isolated incident. Court documents say an officer went to the home April 18th after a woman said she was assaulted by Poppy, who had threatened to kill her and her children.
A Sauk County teenager is facing her first charge of operating a vehicle while under the influence with a minor as a passenger. A Sauk County Sheriff's deputy conducted a traffic stop in West Baraboo yesterday morning. Deputies say before being stopped, the vehicle was driving through the village without any lights on. 18-year-old Destiny Woods of Baraboo showed signs of impairment. Woods submitted to field sobriety testing and was ultimately arrested. A 15-year-old girl was in the car at the time. Woods is charged with operating while intoxicated, first offense with a passenger under the age of 16 years old.
All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather now with more rain and chilly weather coming our way. Here's Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti on the weather patio. Gary?
You know, Eric, it may not seem like spring, but there's a sure sign of it out here on the patio. the mosquitoes are out. I just saw a whole big swarm of them around. But those mosquitoes will be happy campers because we'll be looking for a fair amount of rain, especially as we head from Wednesday into Thursday. And a visible cloud track, we've had clouds for much of the day, but we've had some filtered sunshine through it. Thicker clouds are out to the west of us, and as we take a look at Doppler track, you can see some showers moving across Iowa. They'll move into parts of southern Wisconsin this evening, but should be out of here shortly after midnight tonight. So nothing imminent here, but over the last 24 hours, we've picked up anywhere from around 1/4 of an inch to as much as a little more than an inch of rain, especially from northwestern Dane County through much of Sauk County, where those strong thunderstorms developed yesterday. And if we take a look at the computer model forecast through at least midday Thursday, it's calling for another inch of rain in many areas, some areas perhaps as much as 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain. So because of that, we put an alert day in the forecast for Wednesday. Low temperatures this morning because of the cloud cover started out in the upper 40s. High temperatures today because of the cloud cover held down 57 is the best we could do here in Madison, although many locations did hit the 60-degree mark, especially to the west of town. Current temperatures are about the same as the high temperatures for the day. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be down into the lower 40s to around 40 degrees. We'll see the showers come to an end, see some breaks in the clouds later tonight through the day tomorrow. So tomorrow should be a dry day. We'll be on the cool side with a high temperature of 57. But again, the rain chances come back for Wednesday. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. Police are asking for information on flyers that were posted around the Atwood community.
Many of the flyers have been taken down, but Jamie Perez was able to find one still hanging up, and she joins us now with what's on the flyers and how it's sparking conversation on social media. Jamie?
Right, so as you can see, the flyers say in big letters at the top, sexual predator targeting women in the Atwood community / Willie Street. It then goes on to list a list of things that this person has allegedly been doing. It says the predator is a well-connected East Side Madison bar owner. There's a lot of examples given of the things this person is doing, including taking advantage of women who are under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The flyer does not say specifically who this person is or what bar they are referring to. It's one of the reasons why Madison police say it's difficult to investigate this. But after speaking with the Rape Crisis Center, they say the person who made these flyers might have intentionally done this to avoid the cops and instead just want to warn others of a potential threat in their community.
I think that at this point, that person has made the choice to work outside of the criminal justice system and has made a choice to have this be at a grassroots level, just warning other women.
After speaking with several business owners and people in the community, no one seems to know who posted those flyers. And Madison police say unless someone comes forward and files an official complaint with them, they can't really do much about this. But people who live in the area do have some thoughts about these flyers that are posted around their homes, and we will hear from them tonight at 6.
Jamie, thank you.
A Republican state lawmaker is aiming to block a bill designed to increase vaccination rates in Wisconsin.
The legislation was proposed as a protective health measure as health officials confirm more than 700 measles cases across the country this year. Rose Schmidt is here now to explain the bill's chances. Rose?
Yeah, so Republican Representative Jeremy Thiesfeld says government shouldn't be forcing vaccines upon families. He's a key lawmaker in this debate because he chairs the state's education committee. It's unclear whether a proposal that would toughen the state's vaccine opt-out laws will come through his committee, but if it does, he told me its odds of passing are, quote, not very strong.
Our recommendation right now is for people to make sure that they're vaccinated.
As the number of measles cases continues to climb across the country, Public Health Madison-Dane County is asking people to check their immunization records in hopes that no cases come to Wisconsin.
Kids need the immunization to go to school, so most kids are up to date. Most people are up to date.
Under Wisconsin state law, parents can request 3 types of waivers to opt their children out of vaccines: medical reasons, religious reasons, and the personal conviction waiver, meaning they don't have to provide a reason. Representative Gordon Hintz introduced a bipartisan bill to get rid of that waiver.
Look, we're going to get an increase in the number of kids getting vaccinated one of 2 ways. We're either going to pass this bill or we're going to have a measles outbreak.
He says the government has an obligation to protect the public's health, but Representative Jeremy Thiesfeld is questioning the role of government in the vaccine debate.
We've turned far too much responsibility that parents ought to have over to other governing authorities, and this one is just going a step too far.
Thiesfeld says he and his children are all vaccinated and encourages other families to do so.
My primary responsibility is to my 4 children, and if I think that getting a certain type of vaccination is not a good idea for their health, present or future, I ought to have a right to say no to that.
Wisconsin is in the minority among states that have this opt-out that is increasingly being utilized and is undermining the protections for our children and vulnerable citizens.
Hintz also introduced this bill back in 2016. It has broad support from a number of medical groups. The bill has not been scheduled for a public hearing yet, something Assembly Speaker Robin Vos has the authority to do. He was not immediately available for comment on whether it will go to Thiesfeld's committee today.
All right, Rose Schmidt reporting that. Rose, thank you.
Thank you, Rose. The UW-Madison class of 2019 is leaving behind a class gift that honors the women of the past. This morning, class officers unveiled a sculpture called the Monarch that celebrates the 150th anniversary of women earning undergraduate degrees at UW-Madison. The sculpture, made with fabricated steel by local artist and alumna Victoria Reed, who incorporated crochet patterns into the design to portray a woman of power and dignity.
I think being a woman on campus, it is a wonderful reminder of what women have done on this campus to make it what it is today.
If you'd like to see the sculpture, it is on permanent display in the Hamill Family Browsing Library in the Memorial Union. Wisconsin's tourism industry generated nearly $22 billion last year. A new report from the State Department of Tourism says visitor spending rose nearly 5% last year to a little over $13 billion. Tourism brought in nearly $3 billion in tax revenues. Most of the growth is tied to recreational activities. Several large events drew a lot of visitors to our state last year, including Brewers playoff games, the CrossFit Games in Madison, and Harley-Davidson's 115th anniversary celebration in Milwaukee. Meanwhile, Dane County tourism raked in $1.3 billion last year. Destination Madison says that is a 5% gain over 2017 and accounts for nearly 10% of visitor spending in the entire state. Bucky on Parade, the World Dairy Expo, and the CrossFit Games contributed to the tourism spending.
A new audit says tuition revenue at the UW system grew $337 million over the last decade. That report from the Legislative Audit Bureau found tuition revenue grew from $933 million to $1.3 billion over a 10-year period from 2008 to 2018. The report also found resident enrollment declined by nearly 13,000. Out-of-state enrollment went up by nearly 11,000 students. From a bruised apple to misshapen bell peppers, most ugly fruits and vegetables never make it to the produce aisle simply because they don't look good. But now there is a service launching in Madison to keep ugly produce from going to waste, saving you money, helping local farmers, and cutting down on food waste. The company's called Imperfect Produce, and it takes fruit that would normally end up in the landfill and ships it directly to your home.
Our mission is to try to recover as much of that food as we can and bring it directly to the consumer for, a savings of up to 30%.
The company was created in San Francisco, started serving here in Madison today. More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, the royal family getting bigger as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle welcome a new member to the family.
The president gets tough with China on trade, how it could impact critical talks between the two countries.
And after a massive early morning dive, the market staged a comeback later in the day. The Dow still lost 66, though. The Nasdaq down 41 and the S&P off 13. We'll be right back. There is celebration across Britain as Prince Harry's wife Meghan Markle has given birth to the nation's newest royal baby.
The Duchess of Sussex gave birth to a son at 5:26 this morning. The baby boy is 7th in line to the throne. He weighed 7 pounds, 3 ounces, and Harry says he is thrilled to be a father.
I'm so incredibly proud of my wife, and as every father and parent would ever say, you know, your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for, so I'm just over the moon.
It will be a couple of days before Harry and Meghan share their son with the world. They say they're still deciding on a name. Betting shops in Windsor say some of the top picks are James, Arthur, Charles after the baby's grandfather, or Philip after his great-grandfather.
President Trump is threatening to raise tariffs on China as the two nations are locked in trade negotiations. President Trump put China on notice today, tweeting, quote, "The United States has been losing for many years $600 to $800 billion a year on trade. With China, we lose $500 billion. Sorry, we're not going to be doing that anymore," end quote. Now, over the weekend, the president tweeted the U.S. would increase tariffs from 10 to 25% on $200 billion of Chinese goods and said there would be additional tariffs on $325 billion in goods.
China is already developing shipping lanes in the Arctic Ocean. This is part of a very familiar pattern. Beijing attempts to develop critical infrastructure using Chinese money, Chinese companies, and Chinese workers, in some cases to establish a permanent Chinese security presence.
Now, there were some reports the Chinese considered canceling their trip to Washington after the tariffs tweets. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said, quote, "The pressing task at the moment is that the U.S. will work with China to meet each other halfway and strive for a mutually beneficial agreement. The Chinese delegation is preparing to travel to the U.S. for consultation."
The U.S. is positioning the military in the Middle East as a deterrent to threats against Americans in the region. U.S. intelligence has been picking up warnings that Iran is making plans to possibly attack Americans both at sea and on land, including U.S. troops in Iraq. National Security Advisor John Bolton said the move is meant to send a clear and unmistakable message to the Iranian regime that any attack on United States interests or on those of our allies will be met with unrelenting force.
All right, time for a complete look at your first alert weather. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joining us in studio. Gary?
Well, you know, it's been a rather cool day today. We've had a fair amount of cloud cover, but the good news is that we will eventually see temperatures warm up. I'll just make sure I'm on the correct graphics here. But we've been kind of dealing with clouds for much of the day today. Eventually, those clouds will start to break up later on tonight into tomorrow. But for the most part, we're going to see a fair amount of clouds over the next few days. Now, you can see a visible cloud track. We did have a little bit of a breakup in clouds, but they're coming right back in from the west here. And as we look at Doppler track, you'll actually see a few light rain showers that are mainly across central and eastern Iowa. They're about almost to the Waterloo area now, and they'll probably affect at least parts of southern Wisconsin during the evening and early overnight hours. But the more important rain will be arriving from late tomorrow night through Wednesday and into Thursday. Latest computer model forecast showing a general 1 to 1.5 inch rainfall through much of southern Wisconsin. Maybe some areas picking up a little bit more than that if you get caught underneath a heavier thunderstorm. So we did put an alert day in the forecast for Wednesday for the windy and chilly conditions, but the potential for over an inch of rain. So that's going to be a wet day overall. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. You can see some clearing there, but on the southern horizon, we're seeing some clouds. The WISC Skycam, again, some clearing here, but those clouds will fill in within the next couple of hours. Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing some sunshine over the southern end or northern end of the UW campus, southern end of Lake Mendota. High today, though, only 57 degrees, so that's below the average high of 65. Our low temperature of 48, a little bit above normal because of the cloud cover overnight. We're at 57 now, winds out of the east-northeast at 8 miles per hour, and the humidity pretty comfortable at 59%. Temperatures are generally in the 50s to low 60s. Cooler up near Lake Superior, only 41 in Superior. Milwaukee, close to Lake Michigan, also at 50. Those breezes off the Great Lakes this time of year generally keep things pretty cool. You can see the showers from the next weather system out to the west of us, but this is the main part of the storm that will basically follow right along the jet stream and pass just to the south of us. So fortunately, we'll be on the cool side of the storm. While it'll be rainy, we won't be dealing with severe weather like they'll be dealing to the south, because there'll be a fair amount of severe weather along and just south of this front, which will has already become stationary out to the west of us. And the difference across the front, south of it, the 70s that we had over the weekend to around 80 degrees. Our side of the front, 50s, a few places with 60s where there's sunshine, but mainly 50s and 40s. So that big temperature contrast will fuel the potential for rain. Again, the better chances will arrive as we head from tomorrow night into Wednesday. And then you can see the rain with the thunderstorm potential highest to the south. But notice the warm air never quite makes it here. Our winds stay out of the east. The southerly winds make it up to about northern Illinois and then eventually shift back around to the northeast as we head into Thursday. Fortunately, the far northern part of the Midwest, that's where the snow will stay. Our forecast for tonight calls for skies become mostly cloudy. Could see a few showers this evening. Then those will end overnight. Low temperature dropping to 40. For tomorrow, look for variably cloudy skies or high temperature at 57. Should be dry during the day for tomorrow. On future track, you can see those clouds moving in tonight. Just a slight chance for showers. And then tomorrow, dry during the day. But tomorrow night, the clouds start to move in. The showers arrive by early on Wednesday morning. And Wednesday looks like a wet day overall with periods of rain, high temperatures, eventually getting up into the upper 40s, will be in the mid 40s for much of the day with that brisk easterly wind and those rainfall amounts generally around an inch through Thursday afternoon. As we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, once we get rid of the rain, our temperatures can start going back up. It'll be a slow process, but we go from 58 on Friday to around 70 by Thursday of next week. Much of that time will be dry, just a couple of days with a slight chance of rain. As we take a look at first alert traffic, seeing some slowdowns right now on the eastbound Beltline. That's a traffic camera at Park Street and the Beltline. Basically, right now we have some delays between Monona Drive and Park Street. The rest of the Beltline looking pretty good. As far as travel times are concerned, 19 minutes on the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate, 15 minutes back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, it's 27 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 19 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 18 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
All right, thank you, Gary.
And ahead on News 3 Now at 5 with the warmer weather eventually approaching. Consumer Reports reveals its best sunscreen picks. You might need them by next week, it sounds like. We'll have a look at that list after a short break. This just in from the Channel 3000 Alert Center. We now know the name of the man killed in that Sun Prairie fire. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office says 40-year-old Charles Dean Cobb of Sun Prairie was killed. Happened last night at 205 South Bird Street in Sun Prairie. Firefighters say all 16 units in that apartment building were evacuated and displaced overnight. The Red Cross is assisting the victims. At this time, there is no word on the complete extent of the damage. With the weather starting to warm up a bit, people will be heading outdoors more soon. That means it's time to at least start thinking about sunscreen.
Consumer Reports looked at dozens of the latest products on the market. Hillary Lane shows us which ones came out on top.
Before Lindsay Long lets her child have fun in the sun, she makes sure he's protected with sunscreen.
They just try to reapply it every 2 hours or as directed on the label.
But with so many varieties on the market, it can be hard to pick the right one.
Using sunscreen is really important.
Trisha Calvo is with Consumer Reports, which tested more than 80 sunscreens to reach their list of recommendations.
If a sunscreen gets an excellent rating, what does that mean?
A sunscreen that gets an excellent rating and a high overall score is one that provides excellent protection against the UVB rays that cause sunburn, the UVA rays that cause aging and skin cancer.
Calvo also says the sunscreen has to stay true to its SPF level. This year, the French company La Roche-Posay was the top-rated lotion with a perfect score of 100 and a cost of $36 a bottle. But you can find recommended sunscreens for much less, like Equate, which runs for just $7. Among sprays, Trader Joe's SPF 50 got the top score and cost $6 a bottle. Other well-known names are also recommended, but Calvo says you don't want to shop just by brand. The Coppertone Ultra Guard lotion got an excellent score of 94. The company's Water Babies product received a fair rating of 32.
Every sunscreen has its own formulation and own set of active ingredients, and that really affects its performance.
Experts say even the best sunscreen is only effective if you use enough for proper coverage and make sure to reapply like Lindsay does. Hillary Lane, CBS News, Yonkers, New York.
Another check of your forecast when we return. Stay with us.
Rain's going to be the story this week, huh?
Yeah, tomorrow should be a dry day. Tonight we'll actually see a couple of showers. You can see those out across Iowa. They're moving eastward, and they haven't quite got to southern Wisconsin yet, but we'll see them mid to late evening to early overnight hours. Temperatures right now, upper 50s to around 60. It might even go up a degree or two from here. But Wednesday, an alert day, 49 for a high, windy and rainy, and showers, perhaps a thunderstorm on Thursday. After that, the rain chances go down, the temperatures slowly go up, but it'll be a slow process to get us back to 70. Probably not till the middle of next week.
And we're back with more updates in 30 minutes. Stay tuned for the CBS Evening News.